Welcome to episode 452 of the AMPM podcast. You know, one of the quickest and easiest ways to actually make more money selling on Amazon is not to spend more on PPC. It's not to go to TikTok shop. It's not to launch more products. It's actually to fix the products you're already selling. Fix your listing. So many people are not focusing on the right images, the right methods to increase that CTR. And that's what we're talking about today on the AMPM podcast. I've got Kamal Singh from AMZ One Step coming on today. He runs one of the top agencies in the world when it comes to actually optimizing Amazon listings. He's one of the top experts when it comes to that. And we're going to give you some actual tactical stuff that you can do and talk about where this is going, where listings are going, what's happening. I think you're going to get a lot out of this, have some resources that you can implement right away. So enjoy this episode with Kamal.
Welcome to the AMPM podcast. Welcome to the AMPM podcast, where we explore opportunities in e-commerce.
We dream big and we discover what's working right now.
Plus, this is the podcast where money never sleeps, working around the clock in the AM and the PM.
Are you ready for today's episode?
I said, are you ready? Let's do this. Here's your host, Kevin King. Kevin King.
So if you're on LinkedIn, you probably know this guy. You've probably seen him. He's an avid poster on social media, always delivering some value. His name's Kamal Singh from AMZ One Step. How you doing, Kamal?
Doing very good, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, it's about time, right, to get you on the AMPM podcast. Were you on with any of the previous guys, or this your first? Or are you a AMPM virgin?
No, I'm an AMPM virgin. So it's my first time here. I've been following, since for many years, but like I mentioned, never had guts to reach out to you, but I'm glad you did. I'm super happy to be here.
Now you're up in Canada, right? Up in the Toronto area, is that right, or Calgary? Where are you at?
I'm in Edmonton, which is
Edmonton. I got them both wrong. Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of the Midwest of Canada. I know you guys were here in Banff last year, I believe. Yeah. So we're very close to Banff.
Well, Edmonton's that's the Oiler land, right? That's the Edmonton Oilers, the hockey team, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're crazy hockey fans. Yeah.
Awesome. So, but you're not originally from Canada. Didn't you immigrate from I think India, right?
Yeah, I was born and raised in India. So I came to Canada in 2010. For my international studies, I took electronics engineering. So I did that for about a few years. I lived in Niagara Falls for first few years of my Canadian journey, and then I moved to Edmonton for immigration purposes. It was a lot easier to get your permanent resident card and get citizenship. So that's why I moved to Edmonton. So yeah, I'm originally from India.
So it's easier, but you're in Niagara Falls in the Canadian side or the U.S. side?
The Canadian side. Yeah.
So it's easier to go to Alberta instead of Ontario to get immigration papers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, back in the days, that's how it was. I still believe that's how it is because what government wants to do, they want to they need to have uniformity. They don't want
they want to spread everybody out.
Exactly. Yeah. So they just loosen some rules from wherever they want more people. So now I always think to myself, I don't know why I'm still living in Edmonton, just because I've made a lot of friends here, but I can virtually be anywhere in the world now and still. But I don't know why I'm living here, because in winters it can get I don't know about Fahrenheit, in Canadian, it's minus 50 degrees Celsius. It gets really cold.
Yeah, that's what we call butt freaking cold, and down here in Texas, that we don't know what that means. We don't see that. We see snow here in Austin about once every 5 years or so. So that's our experience with the white stuff. So what made you decide to stay in Canada instead of going back to India? A lot of people come over to the U.S. or to Canada and do their studies, and then they go back. Did you get a job, or was it a woman, or what happened?
Yeah, I always wanted to live in Canada because of the lifestyle. Air, everything is cleaner. The opportunity is a lot higher. So I wanted to live here, but I got a job. Really good job at TELUS. I was a telecom engineer, so I got a job there. So then I had a really good group of friends from the college days. Even in Edmonton. So I never felt like moving out. I do go every winter, see my parents back home, but I do come back, and it's a lot easier here, because of the events and everything. You can travel to US, you can come back here. It's a lot easier. Affordable. Edmonton is a lot affordable than Toronto or Vancouver area. So I'm like, okay,
which part of India were you from?
This is North Punjab. I don't know if I've ever been to India.
Yes, I've done two-week trips to India. I've been all over the north and all over the south as well. So, and then up into I have been to Pakistan, but I've been into some of the neighboring countries as well. So, India's like you said, like it's funny when you said, yeah, it's a lot cleaner here. India is one of those places where if you've never been, I think it's I've been to close to 100 countries in the world, and India is probably people always ask me like what's the craziest country or what. I think India might be up there. I mean, there's extreme poverty next to extreme wealth, next to stunningly beautiful things, next to watch your step because you don't know what you're going to step in, and the sights and the sounds and the smells and everything. It's just it grows on you after time. I mean, you go there at first, it's a little shocking. You're taking a taxi to go in, everybody's dodging in and out and honking, and you're like on a roller coaster just driving on the street in the car. But it's a cool place. But I mean, selling on Amazon is like a roller coaster, and it can be a lot of smells and a lot of sounds and a lot of noise too. So what got you into selling on Amazon? You're working for telecom. Did you just start doing a little side hustle, some drop shipping or some arbitrage on the side, like on eBay or something? Or what got you into e-com?
Yeah, I started as an e-commerce. Started as a side hustle. I wanted to make some extra income. As you know, me being the eldest son, I had to provide. So just money from one job just wasn't enough. So I was always looking for like what else can I do. I've started like a cleaning company. I started like electronics, camera installations, that kind of stuff. I started like IP, like streaming media boxes company. So nothing really like kicked in or like. Then eventually I found a video on YouTube, and while I was watching my first video, I was like, okay, this is something I want to do. I created my account like right away. I was watching one video, taking an action, watching one video, taking an action, and that's how I started with retail arbitrage, Kevin. And then I did some online arbitrage. Then I ended up into like private label. Had some like failed products in the beginning, but eventually I found success with a couple of products. So that's how I got into Amazon space, just by watching, watching a random video on YouTube.
And you said something. One of your businesses was selling streaming boxes, and I think that passed over the heads of a lot of our younger audience. Before there was Netflix, before there was all Disney Plus and Paramount and Peacock and all this stuff, there was several companies that came out. When was this? Probably mid to late 2005, maybe 2000, 2005, where you would spend like $500 on a box, and it was a magic machine because you could plug it into an Ethernet cable. And all of a sudden, some video would come across the internet of some random stuff, and it was the early days, and that's back in the days. Remember, TiVo was the little recording device that would record everything before you had DVRs and all this stuff. So you go back a little bit in the pre-technology days, pre-current days.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I still remember. Amazon did not like selling streaming boxes on Amazon. They would suspend your listing every now and then. So yeah, I was selling those boxes like they were very catered towards South Asian community. So they were like not too early. Like it's still like 2012 to 2013. That's when it started becoming very popular. Among like South Asian community, but yeah.
Well, these are boxes that were streaming like that were pre-coded with a chip to stream like Indian Bollywood movies and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah, and some live channels.
Okay, yeah. So it was like hacker boxes.
Exactly.
That was like going into some satellite feeds and stuff.
That is true, yeah.
So you're doing this arbitrage stuff to make a little extra money, and then you said it went into some private label, or you just continued doing the arbitrage?
No, very early on, I realized that I don't want to go to like, Walmart, Target every single day and find products. So eventually there has to be a better way. So yes, just from the YouTube videos, I found out that, there's a better model which exists, which is private label. We can, order stuff from China. So, instantly I realized, okay, this is something that I do want to try. And I made a rookie mistake. I went with, Apple accessories. It sold really well for the first week because I launched in the Prime week, and I didn't know that it was just 1 week. And then sales slowed down, and then I started getting like a lot of bad reviews, and then just listing got suspended, and then I moved to the next product, and eventually I found a good one to sell on. So
what year was this?
2015 when I started the retail arbitrage, but my first failed private label product was 2016, and my successful private label product was in 2017.
And do you still sell today, or are you just doing the agency side stuff now?
I still sell, but it's not at that scale. It's mainly to just stay on top of my Amazon game, so that I can I can keep my skills sharpened, but I stay out of stock for most of the time. I'm not an active seller anymore.
So what led to from going from private label into starting AMZ One Step and becoming this pretty well-known agency? How did that transition happen?
Yeah, Kevin. So a friend of mine from my college days, he was teaching others like how to do better, like forex exchange trading, like bitcoins and stuff like that. So he was making more money, teaching others, how to do that. Other than that. So that's where I had this thing in mind that once I learn how to sell on Amazon, I'm going to teach others. So when I started teaching others, it was like a lot of one-on-one. I did not have any idea that I could maybe create a digital course. I was like doing a lot of one-on-one, and that was not scalable at all. From there on, people were asking me like, hey, how do you get your listings done? Who does your PPC? Who does your shipping? And I was also doing local like meetup groups within like Edmonton. I was organizing meetups like every single month. So I had a small community built around me. So people were asking me like for a lot of help. So from there on, I got the idea that okay, I think I could start an agency and start using people around me, the experts that I have, to help others. So that's where the idea came from, to starting an agency.
This is what, about 2017, 2018?
Yeah, 2017 is when I started.
And so today, how many people are working for you at the agency?
At peak, we used to have like 150 people, but now we have scaled a little bit. Now we're doing a lot more automations, a lot more AI. So now we're down to 100, but at one point we were like 150 people.
Are these locally based? Are these in India or Philippines or all over?
They're all over. Like our main office is in Canada, so we have around a team of 15 in Canada. We have a lot of project managers, customer success managers. They are in United States. They're all over. Like we acquired a company called Kenji ROI. We have a second office in Bali, Indonesia. That's where we do like a lot of lifestyle shoots. The team is like all across the world, like Pakistan, Philippines, Eastern Europe, South America. Yeah.
Are you the sole owner of this, or do you have partners in your company?
I have partners in AMZ One Step. Yes. Yeah.
So that grew pretty quick. Then in 7 years, you went to 150 people at its peak. That means you're adding a lot of clients.
Yeah, we work with 200 to 300 clients at any given point, and we do like almost 300 listings every single month. So yeah, I'm very proud to what we have done, and like doing creatives for Amazon sellers, Kevin, is not that easy. Like people when you think about just doing the main image, it's not just the main image. There's like a salesperson, then there's a project manager, then there's a creative director, then there's like a photographer, then there's like graphic designer or the editor. Then there's one person who would like manage experiments for you, do the split testing just for creating one single image, right? So most sellers, they think about, oh, it's just one main image and I need a designer. But if you want to do it correctly, there's a lot of people required to do that job.
Thinking about selling on TikTok Shop? Or maybe you are already in it and you're ready to scale. Unlock all of Helium 10's brand new TikTok Shop tools with our Diamond Plan. Everything from bulk Amazon to TikTok listing conversions to instant Amazon MCF fulfillment. Best of all, you use the code TT10 to get 10% off Diamond for 6 months, even if you've used a coupon before. So go ahead and upgrade and let Helium 10 do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can focus on what really matters. For more info on our new TikTok Shop offerings, visit h10.me/TikTok. I'll see you there.
Well, I found this, when I started selling in 2015, everybody was going on the cheap, like find somebody on Fiverr, do something cheap. If they had to spend more than $50 for a photo shoot, they're like, oh my God, I'm getting ripped off. And I was spending $5,000 on a photo shoot. I mean, I come from a production photography background, so I fully understand what it takes to actually create good imagery. And so I would group stuff. I would group my products into, a $10,000 shoot and try to use the same model for a couple different products, get some bang for the buck out of the location and everything. But so many sellers, I think they've come around a little bit, but so many e-commerce sellers are so cheap. And part of that they have to be because they start with not enough money. But even the ones that do have the money or are doing well, a lot of times they just don't get it. They're like, why should I spend $500 for this image when even though the product's doing $100,000 a month in sales, why am I going to spend $500? That's a waste. I can get a $50 image off of Fiverr. That's good enough. Why is that mindset there, and how do you overcome that as an agency to convince people like, look, you need to actually put some time and effort and money into this?
Yeah, I think what I think of this, Kevin, I think it's just your entrepreneurial level. If you're brand new, you're always looking at, where can I cut costs? Where can I save money, right? Once you realize that, there's an opportunity cost to it. You can sit on your listing with like $50 an image, but after like 1 year or 2 year later, like imagine how much revenue you have potentially lost just by not having the right creatives. And same thing with the PPC. We probably spend like tens of thousands of dollars on PPC every single month. I think it's just the realization that a lot of people they have after they have been in the business for quite some time. It's not for a beginner, you don't really understand that. So like, I was at the conference, in Europe last week, Kevin, and I was sitting with room full of like 7 to 8 figure sellers.
Top Dog event, right?
Yeah, Top Dog event, right? So a lot of people were talking about exact same thing, like the AI. How can now the images will be like so fast and so cheap, but nobody was really talking about like how will these images convert? Will these images bring my conversion rate up or sales up? Is it going to impact my PPC? Nobody was talking about that. Everybody was busy how fast and cheap it is now to create images with AI. But I was like completely mind blown. But when I work with like 9-figure sellers or like enterprise level sellers, they don't even focus on they have experts doing the listings for you. Their focus is on like how can I scale my business? How can I grow my business instead of you becoming the bottleneck of your business and just working on designs yourself or working very closely with the sometimes you realize you spend all day with the designers or the agency. Instead you could have like spent so much time doing better things, which is like scaling your businesses. I think to answer your question, I personally feel it's just like the entrepreneurial level. Either once you cross that, that's when you realize, okay, this is something that it's actually an investment. It's not the cost. So
I think a lot of people, and maybe you saw this at Top Dog, they all get caught up on the latest, coolest tools. AI is it's a fascinating tool. And now I don't got to pay $50 on Fiverr. I don't have to pay your agency $1,000 to get an image. I can just do it. I don't have to wait 3 weeks. I can have it in 10 minutes. But what they don't understand is the creative of that. They look at an image like that's good enough or that's pretty, but they don't understand the psychology behind it and how just subtle shifts or subtle things, whether that's creative, it's words, lighting, positioning, context, whatever it may be, they don't understand that side and how important that is when it comes to actually selling. There's that old saying: people eat with their a picture's worth 1,000 words. Or I always say people eat with their eyes first. And I think it's my friend Perry Belcher who says people on Amazon don't buy products, they buy photos. And a lot of people just skip over that, and it amazes me how I don't get it, because that is your image, that is your messaging, that is everything. And it's not just the quality of the image, it's the order that you put them in. It's what you actually say. It's down to little minute things. Are they looking left off the page or right off the page? Is the arrow pointing this way or this way? And there's all these little things that, like you said, I think it's the entrepreneurial. They don't understand this. The big brands and 9-figure brands that have serious people that have been doing this and are marketers, they understand that. And so that's what you guys are trying to bring to the table here for these inexperienced people that have no clue, right?
Absolutely, Kevin. And we work with, like I mentioned, like 200 to 300 sellers like at any given point. But you know what? The surprising fact is, like, no seller has ever built a customer avatar. There's very little percentage. They come to us.
It amazes me.
Right. So that should be the first, like that should be the first starting point. We are the ones who build a customer avatar for them. How can you create listing images without even having a customer avatar? Right. So, for example, we were working on a vehicle GPS tracker, right? So it's a big, 8-figure brand. They thought they were selling to fleet owners. And when we did the first step, we built out the customer avatar, we read all those reviews, we gave them a report. We're like, hey, you know what? 38% of your buyers, they are actually the parents who are buying this device for their teen kids. It's not the fleet owner. Fleet owners are only 19%. When they saw this stat, they were like mind blown. The ROI of paying an agency or someone who knows what to do, you know what you know, right? So there is an opportunity cost. So there are a lot of things that sellers, they don't even know which exist that you should be doing. All they say is like, okay, these are my features, these are my benefits, and I'm going to create a picture. I'm going to hire a designer on Fiverr and get an image made. But it's the process, which leads you all the way to what's going to be on the picture itself. And customer avatar is just one example, right? So there are like so many things that sellers they need to be mindful of when creating images.
But your avatar and like can be you. A lot of people think they have one avatar. In a lot of cases, you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 avatars. And like in the case of this GPS tracker, what I would be doing is I would be take the exact same product coming out of China or wherever they're making this GPS tracker, and I would rebrand it into separate listings. I would have a listing, the box, it's the same product inside, and just slight tweaks to the manual and tweaks to the wording. And one is the XP22, and one is the XP K1 or something. And the K1 is for the kids, and the XP22 is for the truckers. And then separate product listings on Amazon with completely separate text copy and completely separate imagery that appeals to each of those avatars. And a lot of people don't do that. And they don't, you get more real estate that way, and you appeal directly to, because people have to say, when they see an image or they see a listing, an image especially, because people eat with their eyes first, they have to say, that's me. If they don't say, that's me, then you lost the sale. You're not going to get the sale. And so many people don't understand that. You have to have that. You get 2 seconds or less to actually say, that's me, or that's my problem I'm having right now, or, oh my God. And that's what you got to do in imagery. It's not just, let me show a pretty product and how cool my product has all these features over somebody else. That's down the way. Once you're, once they get into it, if they want that, a lot of people don't even care about that. They just want to know, is that me? And does that solve my problem or give me status or whatever they're trying to do? And that has to be done in creative, and that has to be done on Amazon. And so many people don't understand that.
Okay, I'll give you an example, Kevin. I think that's so perfectly said. There's two things. Okay, first, the point on that's me. I was reviewing entire category. It's called strawless, strawless plastic cups, with lids. That's the main keyword. I was looking for like different plastic cups, and most of the listings that I came across, they were all generic. Even the top listings doing like 100,000 a month. Like everybody was, oh, this is durable, this is eco-friendly, this is this is vegan. I mean, BPA free, FDA approved. These are like all generic listings. So when I looked at 15-20 listings, I was like, something is missing. There has to be at least one seller which is speaking to the customer avatar so that the other person could say, that's me, right? When I looked at the pain points, like what were their buying motivation, like key purchasing factors, I figured out that they did not want to spend like $6 to $7 at Starbucks every single day. They wanted to save money. No image was designed to speak with that person. They did not want to wait like 15 minutes every single morning at a drive-through. They wanted to have something which they can, make a coffee at home and carry and go to the office. They wanted to look stylish. Those plastic cups, they were a little bit more stylish. No competitor had done those kind of images, right? So if you design images for a specific customer avatar and they have like, less than 2 seconds to be like, okay, that's me, they're instantly going to buy that product. Right. So that's one example.
Are they? That's the problem with places like Amazon. On TikTok, yes, where it's a discovery platform. But on Amazon, if I go and these guys with the straws and stuff, and the one's doing $100,000 a month, it probably has a bunch of reviews, thousands of reviews. If I'm looking for something and I see that listing, I don't say that's me, but he's got 1,000+ reviews. And then here's my product where I have the guy that doesn't want to pay the $7 at Starbucks and wants his thing. And where I go, yeah, that's me, but I only have 17 reviews. How do I overcome that? How do I overcome that moat that the other guy has psychologically either in my images or in my copy to convince them like, okay, yes, this is me, but I don't know if I can trust that. I can trust this other one. It looks kind of similar. The imagery is not as good, but the guy's got a moat. So that's the argument that a lot of sellers would say is like, I'm doing $100,000 a month. Why the hell do I need to change my listing to what you're telling me to make it? I don't need to do that. I'm doing fine as it is. So how do you position and argue that and convince people that what to do?
I think it all comes down to the data, right? So for example, we can always show them like the before and after, with the doing a lot of split testing. But this is the exact kind of conversation I was having with my partner. Like when people shop on Amazon, he was like, they have already made their mind. The buyer intent is there. They're searching for a keyword and they're just looking for they're just looking for the same product they want to buy. But my counter was, you still need to overcome objection. You still need to tell them the pain point so that people can relate, and you just need to stop them to browse further. If they have landed on your listing, that means they haven't made a decision. if they were looking at the highest review one, why didn't they buy that? Why are they on your page? If they are on your page, that means they haven't made a decision yet. So you have paid for a click somewhere, so you still need to overcome those objections and those pain points so that people can buy. It's exactly like, when you jump on a sales call, right? The good salesperson would just trigger you with those pain points. It could, make it feel like, we are the right partners, right? You are the one which is which is closing the bridge. So I think it still comes down to talking about those pain points and bridging the gap. So even though if your other competitors are not, there's no clear cut or shortcut formula to overcome that objection with 1,000 reviews. If you don't have that much, I think with time it will get better, but you can only control what you can control.
Do you do a positioning test with your clients? So maybe you come up with an idea, you looked at the avatar, the pain points, and you're trying to decide what to do as a main image. How do you do positioning on that? I mean, to the same avatar, but the positioning can make a huge difference. Because the avatar could be, I gave this example in one of my talks of I think it's it's a water fountain for cats. It keeps the water clean. So how do I differentiate? Now, positioning could be, I'm going after Japanese anime people. And so I want to have my graphics, with all kinds of goofy Japanese anime cats type of stuff. Or maybe I'm going after the serious person that cares about the environment and wants clean water. I'm going after the fitness enthusiast who understands that they want their cat to have water that has nitrogen in it or whatever for oxygen. And I create 10 different images. Each one of those is the same picture, same product, almost, but the headline's just different. The headline at the top is the hook is just different. And one's hooking them depending on what they are. Do you do positioning tests like that? Or do you see very many people even doing that kind of stuff to actually hone in? What is it that is driving stuff, not just the imagery or not just the base avatar?
The positioning, we don't really do the positioning test. What we do is for example, when we do the customer avatar, Kevin, so we break it down into which is the biggest customer avatar, and then we position all the images on the biggest customer avatar if we have a clear evidence. For example, let's say it's a seat cushion, right? So is it the office people buying more, or is it a traveler buying more, or is it a driver, like Uber driver or a truck driver? We look at the percentage. We do a lot of testing, outside before we even create images. So we try to find the 50%, avatar. For example, if the 50% of office workers are buying this product, then our entire listing would be positioned towards the office worker only. And maybe in the premium A+ content, or in somewhere in a video, we can touch base about the other avatars as well. Okay, this is suitable for that. But I think just from the initial research, we decide which one we want to position.
So you only do it if it's 50% or more, or the highest one. What if the highest one's the most competitive? What if the people that are truck drivers, even though that's only 10%? There's no competition there whatsoever. Versus if you go with the ones that are office workers that are, what do you say, 55%, which is the biggest addressable market, but the competition there is fierce. Do you base anything like that, or you just go after what's the biggest addressable market and figure it out from there?
We have done maybe image to image testing, but we haven't really positioned the entire listing stack towards different personas. Like you mentioned, like we talked about in the early stage of the podcast, the sellers, they don't see it as an investment. They're trying to cut costs, and this is an additional layer of money which needs to be invested. But if someone is willing to work with us, on that positioning, we can help you, help you do the positioning test. And one example that comes to my mind, Kevin, for the same seat cushion, right? So there are different features which are. The importance of different features is, different persona would rank them higher. For example, the traveler persona, they don't care that much about, how it, how durable or how long that's going to last. Maybe they're just buying it because they have a 12 hours long trip coming up, and they don't want to pay that much money, right? For example, an office worker who's going to buy this, and they can probably pay a lot higher for that price. Right. So there are different features which are, not equally important to all the personas. So what you mentioned in the beginning that, you can probably launch instead of one, you can call it a product A, product B, and maybe get as much real estate as possible and position, your listing towards all of those personas. So I think, yeah, if someone is interested, would be very happy to.
You ever heard of Dan Kennedy? Do you know who Dan Kennedy is?
No.
Dan Kennedy is one of the top copywriters probably alive today. He's in his 70s. been around a long time, written tons and tons and tons of ads. Considered one of the top, definitely one of the top ones alive now, probably one of the top 10 of all time. Back to David Ogilvy, back to everybody that's famous, that's written books and had movies made about him and everything else. His number one saying, and this is to the people who say, I'm just trying to cut costs and save money, he says, he who can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. And that's where I think a lot of people, they're always about cutting costs and not looking at it long term. They're not looking at their imagery and their videos and their listing as an investment. They're looking at it as something they just got to do. And and to a lot of them, they don't understand it, and it's not fun to do a lot of that creative part. Is like they just want to do the more sexy stuff. And that, I think that's a mentality that sellers have got to get over if they want to have long-term success and build a true brand with a moat, versus just being in the right place, right time with a moat, and getting lucky. As you look at a lot of these guys that were around when 2014, 2015, that went through Amazing Selling Machine or whatever, when they sold their businesses to Thrasio and some of the other aggregators during the aggregator boom 5 years ago, some of them retired to the beach, and some of them ended up going and trying and working for the aggregators, and the aggregators quickly fired them because they didn't know what the hell they're doing. And some of them went out and tried to start new companies, and they could not do it. They tried to go to a non-competitive niche, and a lot of them failed. It's because they were right place, right time. Right place, right time doesn't exist anymore when you're selling on Amazon, unless, there's the occasional lottery ticket. Someone just happened to hit it right. But now it's a real business, and there is a science to marketing, and there's a psychology to marketing, and that's the people that are doing what you guys are doing are one of the most important, if not the most important, cogs in the entire thing. Traffic is important. You got to have the eyeballs. So that's probably number one. You got to know how to build. But that's part of what you're doing too, is getting those eyeballs there by the way you create the listing, what you put in the images, especially with AI now, reading images and reading context and reading sentiment. How is that changing the way you guys are approaching stuff? Because you have to kind of ride that old line of keywords, and you got to write the new line of AI figuring out, oh, this picture shows a girl on the beach with an umbrella. So if someone's talking about rain, or they're talking about traveling to somewhere where it's cold and wet, maybe we should show them this product because there's a girl on a beach in the rain holding an umbrella in one of the pictures. Versus those keywords aren't anywhere in the listing. How are you guys writing that riding both sides of the horse right now as this shifts?
Yeah, I think it has become really important for us to make sure we create images in such a way that they're optimized for the best click-through rate on the keywords, and also they're being recommended by Rufus, right? So the optimization has like an extra layer now. For example, once the listing is done, we go through Amazon recognition system. So we upload an image to Amazon recognition, and then we find out what does really AI understood of that image, right? So from there on, if it doesn't pass that, we don't give those images to the customer. So each image goes through the AI test. We figure out what does AI understood of that image. And sometimes, when you mentioned about even the lifestyle images, Kevin, we talk about semantic SEO. There's also an element semantic images, right? So the images should not have visual noise anymore, because you can make AI,
confused.
Not think, AI will get confused, right? So if there's 5 props with your product, you need to focus your product or place your product in such a way that the AI only thinks about your product, not the props which are not relevant. So it's also very important that what kind of props are we using around the product? What are we showing in the lifestyle image in the background? Is that even relevant to the product or not? Right? How much noise there is on the images. So yeah, everything has changed, but we have added an extra layer of AI, so which makes sure that this is ready for Rufus. It's ready for ready to go on Amazon listing. So first step is also is still the keywords, because that's where the most of the traffic is coming from. But now is the perfect time to make sure your listings are Rufus optimized. So what we have done is just added an extra layer of AI optimization.
So some people they're back, they're hitting rewind right now on the podcast. They're driving their car. Wait. A minute ago he said, what the hell did he say? Amazon recognition, reconnaissance. What did he say? What is Amazon recognition? A lot of people don't know what that is. Can you explain what that is? It's a free thing that Amazon provides, part of AWS, but Can you explain what that is and how that's a very valuable tool that a lot of people don't even know exists and how to use it?
Yeah, it's a free tool by AWS, Amazon, so where you can like sign up if you don't have an account. Sign up. You can upload your image. I would recommend you should do for all of your listing images. Upload your images, and then Amazon's recognition system would give you some keywords or some words like what it really understood from that image, and you will be able to tell if it's relevant or not. If it's not relevant, that means your image is very busy. You need to change that. If it really if it recognizes it perfectly, that means your image is optimized for AI, and Rufus will identify your images like really quickly. So it's just like a very easy to use software that you can try today.
It gives you a score and it tells you how to interpret it, what it thinks it is. An example I've given is I put for my phone, I used to have on the back of the phone, I had some little reading glasses, and like a little case that would just stick on the back of the phone, like little reading glasses for old men. When you're trying to read a menu and you can't read the small type, you just stick them on your nose. And so I took those and I just put it just slightly off the phone. I took a picture and I put it into recognition. I said, "What is this?" And it came back and said, "It's a mobile phone." Got that part right, sitting on a desk and all these things. But then it thought the glasses were a keychain. And so it actually came back and said, with a keychain to hold keys. And so that told me instantly that I got to adjust this picture. I got to change the picture and change the positioning to make it much more clear by either pulling those glasses out more and showing more of them, or putting them on top, or doing something different. So, and then rerunning the test to see, okay, now does it know that they're actually little reading glasses and portable reading glasses and not actually a keychain? Because if I had left it the same way the human sees it, they go, "Oh, okay, I know what that is." Or, but the AI interpreted it wrong, and that would completely trash my rankings and my listings and how much time I show and everything. So that's how important it is. Little minor tweaks, adjustments, or like what you said, something in the background that maybe needs to go because it's confusing it. It could be the setting it's in, or it could be just even a prop that's on a shelf that confuses it. These are becoming more and more important things, and if you're not doing that, or your agency is not doing that, then you need to get on them, because this is where it's going. What are you seeing with AI? People using AI right now. A lot of Amazon sellers, when it comes to listings, I'll ask Amazon sellers, are you using AI? Some of them are like still not using it, but some of them say, yeah, I'm using AI. But they really don't understand AI. You said something in the beginning where you had 150 people and now you have 100. Some of that's because of systems automation and probably some AI stuff with agents and other things that you can start to implement. That's where we're going on stuff. But most people's interpretation of AI is using ChatGPT to write an email, or using it to analyze some reviews on your listing and give you a basic sentiment. That's their extent of knowledge of AI. And that's barely touching the surface of AI. Where do you see AI going for e-commerce stuff? Not how it's going to affect your agency necessarily, because I have some strong ideas on how that's going to affect, and you probably know too. But how is it going to affect just the fundamental e-commerce selling?
I think it's gonna I believe that the Chat GPT is just gonna be the new default. If you think you are using AI Chat GPT and you're using Chat GPT, you're ahead of everybody else. No, that's not the case. You're still at the baseline, because that's the new default. How I would think for e-commerce sellers, I think you can start from the product research or product development, right? The AI can give you like really cool ideas. Are you asking specifically to like in a day of Amazon seller's life, or in general e-commerce? Like what?
AI is going to affect all aspects of e-commerce. I mean, the way I look at it is, it's agents are going to become major players. Like you just said on product development, you're going to be able to have agents that actually go out and are constantly monitoring the marketplace and trends and other listings and other sites and marketplaces and social media posts, what people are posting about, and it's going to pick up on trends and opportunities really, really fast, and be able to automatically iterate on those and come up with really cool ideas through its vast knowledge base, and then actually send that over to someone like Alibaba, and Alibaba will have another agent that, oh yeah, okay, let me take a look at this. Let me see if there's any factories that can do this, or send that out to some factories that have agents working, and they say, oh yeah, we can do this. Here's the CAD drawing back. Here's the cost. Everything's going to be like the time to market is going to be drastically reduced.
Yeah.
And then just on the logistics side, AI optimizing logistics chains and like being able to totally hone in forecasting, just like it is right now for weather forecasting, is getting better. A lot of that's because of AI systems. And then just workers. I mean, if you got $100 million brand, you probably have 10, 20, 50, 100 people working for you right now, maybe more. I think you're going to be able to do that with 5 people. And I think it's going to become where you got 100 people working for you right now. You're probably going to, in a few years, probably be able to cut that to 10 to 20. And each of those humans is going to be overseeing AI workers. So you still need humans. Humans aren't going away, but you're going to have a guy overseeing your ad creative department, your Facebook department, your Amazon A+ department. And there's 5 AI agents that are doing all the stuff that humans are doing now, much more efficiently, much better, and much faster. And so I see that happening. And the sellers that don't adapt and aren't using these technologies in their back-end systems to actually stay a step ahead are going to get left behind.
That is so true. We used to flex like, okay, how many team members do you have? Oh, you have 100. In the future, the flex will be how many AI agents do you have? In the company. So I think it makes a complete sense. There are a couple of agents that I can probably share that I'm using, within my agency. The first one is the customer avatar builder, like GenSpark.ai. If you haven't used it, I think it's a great tool. It gives you free credits to start with. You can go to GenSpark, tell it to, give it a very simple prompt, go to Amazon.com, search for XYZ keyword, read all the reviews, analyze, all competitors, and build me a customer avatar. Give me pain points, their key purchasing factors, their key motivation buying factors, and create a nice shareable PDF document for me. It will actually go and do that.
Is this a GPT or is this an agent?
It's an agent.
Okay.
Well, it will actually do that, right? So same thing with the second agent I call is the CTR agent. So for example, I would give the same prompt hey, go to Amazon.com, search for this keyword, and analyze top 50 Amazon listing main images. Give me a pie chart or of the top patrons, what kind of different patrons in the main images you identify. So it will actually do that. It will give you a nice PDF report on 100% of this, main images have white background. 92% of them are using product packaging. 45% of them are using hand models in the main image. It will give you all those patrons which main people are using. So, and now you can just look at that pie chart and be okay, in order to break this pattern or, for a scroll stopper main image, I have to do something else. Now I can't think of product packaging. I don't want to have a hand model, so it just saves you a lot of time. So these are few examples of, AI agents that I'm using, my team is using every single day using GenSpark. So I think eventually, Kevin, there will be just one software which has lot of, agents built into it.
It won't surprise me if this happens in the next 2 to 5 years, where you're going to upload, instead of 7 or 9 pictures for your listing, you're going to upload 200. And you're going to have one, back on your case of the GPS. Maybe you don't have the separate listings, but maybe you have one that shows the parent checking their child's GPS where they were. And you have another one that's a trucker showing his log and how much money he made because it tracked everything he did and all the stop signs and whatever it does. And you have another one, and Amazon knows they have all that massive data. They're going to change the images and the copy based on who that person is, and not based on what you think that person is, based on what they know that person is. Now, they may do that all with AI and instantly take your base core and change it up. And they're kind of messing with some of this now. Or they may let us have more control where we upload certain ones and they just fill in the gaps. But I can see that it going to that level, and the conversion should go through the roof. And people are going to everybody's going to say that's me. When I do a search for GPS, Amazon knows. I mean, if you ever pulled your report from Amazon, you can actually go pull a report. It's free of what Amazon knows about you. Mine, when I did it 2 years ago, was 750-page PDF. And it's everything I've ever added to my cart taken out, every Prime video I've ever watched, where I paused it, how long it took me to come back, everything. I mean, everything in the whole Amazon ecosystem, from television to buying online to AWS to whatever, is all there. That data is immensely valuable, and they can customize that. And that's, I think, where we're going to go. And you start to see this now with some of the Perplexity and ChatGPT putting some shopping stuff. It's rudimentary. It's crude right now. It's not great. But this is going to evolve. It's like the first iPhone or the first iPod. I remember the first iPod came out as a big brick and only would hold 1,000 songs or 10,000 songs or whatever it was. But it was way better than a Sony Walkman with a cassette player. That's where we're at right now. Is we're in that first iPad or iPod that is replacing the Sony Walkman. But this is going to radically change. And voice, you tack on voice on the top of this, especially the younger generation. 80-something% of the younger generation they don't type on a keyboard. They talk. And that's a whole different way of search and a whole different way of providing information too. So what are your thoughts on all this?
I think you're absolutely correct, Kevin. You touched on one of those things which is like really resonates with me. Like instead of like having 7 images, maybe you'll have 200 images, and Amazon will automatically change depending on who's buying, right? So I think a lot of people think that even like creative agencies will no longer be in the business, but now I think it's just gonna.
But wait, before you go there, I'm gonna stop you for a second. I'm gonna interrupt you.
Okay.
You saw what Zuckerberg just recently did back in May, where he announced that on Facebook, on Meta ads, you no longer have to give them the creative or the ads. You just tell them, I got this to sell. They'll sell it for you. They know how to create. They're having AI create the whole ad, create everything. And so it's hands off. I don't know how much Meta advertising you're involved with, but 5 years ago, you had to upload lookalike audiences, and you had to feed data and like, okay, I want more people like this, and I want to go after these keywords or this subgroups. Now on Facebook, you basically just put it on and say, go find me the people, and it finds you the people. But it's going to get to the point where they're actually going to create the ads and everything too. But so I agree with you that creative agencies are not going to go away. You still need the humans, but at the bottom level, the people that were going after the fiber, that are what we were talking about earlier, the people that are just on the budget and want the fiber, they're going to have an option that's pretty damn good, that don't cost much, if anything. So now how are you as an agency going to evolve to keep people like, look, no, you need us humans. You need Kamal and his gang, because they know a thing or two the robots don't.
I think that is so true, right? So there are like a lot more things that that humans would always bring to the table, right? For example, you can create images from ChatGPT, right? Which it's not perfect yet, but I think it will be eventually, right? It's it will happen. But is that AI also going to make sure that your images which are created, are they like Rufus optimized? Are those like passing the recognition test? Are they like speaking to a generic audience, or are they speaking to to the relevant audience that you want to speak with, right? Are you like continuously testing, right? Are you doing like split testing on them? Manage your experiments, like how well your ads are performing, like how many creatives are you creating? For example, you're running like sponsored video ads. There's like hundreds of keywords. Like maybe now you need 100 different videos for each keyword to be more relevant, right? So now when people search for that specific keyword, they see a very specific video ad, they can think, oh, that's me. And then they click on that. So now each keyword may have like, let's say you have 200 keywords, you might need 200 videos, for your ads to be performing at the best, right? And it's just like, these are just few areas that I could think of like right away, but I'm pretty sure there are like a lot more in-depth things, which needs to be, which needs to be considered, whether should I do it by AI or an expert. When people come to us, Kevin, they normally come when their ads are not profitable, when they launched a product and it's not selling, when they did something from Fiverr, it's not selling, and then they look at the competitors like, wow, their listing images are so good. I did not create that good of images. That's when they come to us. So there are like problems. I think the CVR problem isn't going to go away. I think the CTR problem, the traffic, conversions, I think those are the real problems that we solve. Creatives is just a way of solving those problems. It's one of those areas. So I think we still have like, I think solid a few years before, and AI is changing like so fast. I'm all in for embracing. Like, I don't want to be that guy who's like against AI or it's a bad thing. I think we're adapting it very, very quickly. But I guess we're gonna add value, a lot more than just ChatGPT image would add.
So what you guys, it's called AMZ One Step. I'm assuming that means you just got to take one step and we can take care of everything for you. So what all, besides creating images, what else do you guys do?
We're, the name One Step, the idea was that we would be a full service agency, do everything for Amazon sellers. But people, the sellers, when they worked with us, they keep coming back for creatives. They really liked what we did. So that's how we started focusing only on the creatives, but we do manage like a little bit of PPC, for a handful of clients, but mainly it's images, videos, A+ content. We do a lot of like split testing for sellers. We do a lot of manage your experiments. We manage their listings month to month, make sure that they're always on top. So that's the only thing we're doing right now, and also building an internal tool which will help us, become AI enabled, and eventually maybe that software could also help like other agencies or big sellers. The idea is like, you can generate different image concepts. You can generate like different different types of like video ads, just using that software. If there were to replace somebody, instead of like someone else replacing us, we might as well, replace ourselves with a tool. So we're in process of building that. So these are the only core two things that we have.
And you said you have 200 to 300 clients right now. Are you advertising, or is it pretty much word of mouth? People coming to you and like, because you did a good job for somebody else and they're referring their friends, or are you having to go out there? Because a lot of people say the agency business is cutthroat. It's all about, people come and they stay for 3 months, and then they move on because someone else is cheaper or something didn't work. Or do you experience that, or do you have most of your people staying long term?
We're not month to month. We're like a project based. Like if you have a listing, we'll get it done. But 60 to 65% of our business comes from like the repeat sellers. Like they have a new product that they want to launch. That's when they come back to us. That's like our main where the business comes from. But the newer one, I think it's coming from like all over the place. Where like we're on Google, I'm on podcast, conferences, traveling. We have partnerships with with coaches, consultants, YouTubers, influencers. That's where a lot of clients come from. But that's not the real unique selling proposition, Kevin. I think the sellers, they come to us mainly because they're having a problem, they're having a pain point, right? Most people, they advertise them as a CTR or CVR expert. We would be like, hey, we're Amazon product photography company when we do advertise. So when they're looking for product photographer, when they speak with us, oh, you also know CTR and CVR, perfect fit. Nobody's like searching for I need a CTR or CVR expert. They're looking for I need a graphic designer. So then they see us, and that's when they come. They're looking for product video company, right? So we're trying our approach has been a very like search intent or a problem focus. So that's how a lot of sellers, they find us, they come to us. That's the secret sauce.
So do you have a success story that you can share with me? Like somebody that came to you, their listing was they were just tanking. The sales are going down, down, down. They couldn't figure it out. You guys got in under the hood, changed the oil, fixed a few things, put some new tires on, and they went from, they were at $1 million and they went down to 100,000, and you turned them around. Now they're doing 10 million. Do you have some sort of story like that where you can give me an example of how the power of what you guys do can change the course of business?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll give two examples. One for like a really big listing that was already doing like 300,000. It's called like the sweat wipes. It was doing 300,000 per month. And what we just did minor optimizations on the main image. Maybe there was a unisex part. We made it slightly bigger. We added, how many wipes, like days of supply there was. We added it on the product label. We changed the color on the product packaging, things which were not visible before. It made it visible afterwards, just by changing like minor things on the main image, and just by doing one main image experiment. Like we tested on product opinion first, then we tested on a manager experiment. The results were astonishing, right? So like 100,000 more just by not even changing the main image, just by doing minor changes on the same main image, from 300,000 per month to 400,000 per month. If you search for like sweat block wipes, you'll see a lot of products, and one of those is done by us. And another example would be like a brand new listing, right? So we created a listing from scratch. Then every single month we tested new creatives. We kept increasing the CTR, we kept increasing the conversion rate. 6 months down the road, that listing is doing like $65,000 a month. We started working with them from zero when it was a brand new listing, and it's already doing. So we have seen like PPC cost. We did not even try fancy PPC strategies. Just by making better creatives, their ad performance was keep getting better and better and better. So these are a couple of case studies that I have, and you can also check Trustpilot reviews. We have more than 400 5-star reviews. People really enjoy working with us.
So where are most of your the creative people? Are they Canadian based? Is that the 15, 20 people that's in the office there? Or are they in the Philippines? I mean, where do you find that the best creative talent lies? Whether that's digital artists or video guys or where is there a pocket? There's always that people say, oh, India is great for programmers. Go to Bangladesh go to some of the towns in India if you want, not Bangladesh. If you want really good programmers, if you want really good chefs go to France. So what's the creative hub of the world?
I think I break it down into like two different sections. The best combination, which worked really well for us, is having the conversion rate optimization specialist. North America and like US or Canada works best for like if you're looking for like conversion rate optimization minds.
Because they understand the culture and the yeah.
Exactly. They know like how to shop on Amazon, what people are looking for. They know like a lot more. But in order for their strategy to get into like the execution and make it perfect, Eastern Europe works really well. The designers there, in the Ukraine, like Romania, those countries, they have like really, really solid talent for like design wise, even like South America has a good one, but Eastern Europe works really, really well for us.
Awesome. Well, if people want to learn more about your company and what you guys do, what's the best way for them to follow you or to reach out to your company and learn more?
Yeah, you can follow me on LinkedIn, or you can just go to www.amz1step.com. Fill in a form if you want to speak with us. We're happy to chat. But yeah, you can also find us on like Instagram, Facebook. It's AMZ One Step.
Awesome. Well, Kamal, I really appreciate you coming on today and chatting with me for a little hour here. It went really quick.
Thank you so much, Kevin. It was fun.
Awesome. So hopefully Kamal and I just convinced you it's time to get off your butt and spend a little bit of money and a little bit of effort and better your Amazon listings. Better those images, better that copy, better that A+, because there's nothing that's going to have a more immediate impact, almost within hours, sometimes within days at least. You're going to see an immediate impact by making these changes and some of the stuff that we talked about. So hopefully this has inspired you to take a double look and double check what you're doing and do some testing and see if you can't add that extra $100,000 a month, just like he talked about the Sweat guys did, to your listing. We'll be back again next week with another incredible and awesome episode of the AMPM podcast. In the meantime, be sure you're checking out my newsletter, billiondollarsellers.com. It's totally free. Every Monday and Thursday, brand new edition comes out with actionable tactical tips, strategies, resources, and everything when it comes to selling e-commerce on Amazon, TikTok Shop, AI, and so on. Next week, I've got a guest going to be talking about some strategies with creators. I think you're going to really like this episode next week, so make sure you tune in next Thursday for a brand new episode of AMPM Podcast. Until then, take care. Lights out.